can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Jonathan Mosley and Rick Trader. And a program note, if you'd like to hear a repeat broadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon, log on to vigilantlibertyradio.us, and you can hear our show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199. And with that, Jonathan Mosley, we do have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
That's really great. We have Anthony Watts, who's an American meteorologist, AMS SEAL holder, retired, president of IntelliWeather, editor of the blog What's Up With That, and founder of the Surface Stations Project, a volunteer initiative to investigate the sighting quality of weather stations across the United States. He's also my hero. Anthony Watts began his broadcast meteorology career in 1978 as an on-air meteorologist for WLFI-TV in Lafayette, Indiana, and then joined KHLS-TV, a CBS affiliate in Chico, California. Watts has been the chief meteorologist for KPAYAM, a Fox News affiliate in Chico, California, since 2002, and he won the News and Review Reader's Best of Award for Best Local Personality, and he's calling in from the middle of some very important events happening at the conference in Las Vegas right now. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show, Anthony Watts.
Hi there. I'm just outside of the ICCC 9 conference, which is going on right now. The plenary session's in progress, and I just left the session to do this interview, so we'll have to make it short.
I agree, and I thank you so much for, I think you're outside with Lord Christopher Monckton, who's a great leader in this area, and we appreciate it. But your work, you have a lot of work, but the thing that really strikes me as important, and I'm astonished that it isn't on Fox News and everywhere all the time, is what strikes me as most interesting is your work investigating the quality of the temperature data that is driving all of this discussion. And I'm astonished that nobody is really paying attention to whether the data is accurate. This is old news for you, but for most people it's new. Could you talk about the Surface Stations Project?
Okay, well, in a nutshell, it had to do with a bit of serendipity from 2007. I stumbled across a very, very poorly sighted weather station in Marysville, California, which set off some alarm bells for me because it was in the middle of a parking lot, literally, where the temperature sensor was. It was next to where the fire chief parked his vehicle at the Marysville fire station. And as I stood there next to the sensor, I could feel warm air blowing on from large air conditioner units that were used for cell phone communication, where the city had rented out cell phone tower space there. And I said to myself, this is where they're measuring climate officially? And it was an official station operated by NOAA, used specifically for climate. And so I started looking further and further and discovered that it wasn't just a fluke, that one station. It was systemic. There was a lot of stations like this. And so with the help of Dr. Roger Pielke Sr. at the University of Colorado, I put together the Surface Stations Project to crowdsource a survey of these stations throughout the United States. And it took us a very long time to get done because we're not funded. It was all done by volunteer work, when it could get done, and so forth and so on. In 2010, we published our first paper on the issue, and it was inconclusive. And the paper was inconclusive because we were missing a variable. We were using a sighting methodology rating system that was used to choose news stations, but it only had distance from heat sinks and heat sources and so forth, which we found that about 90% of the network had issues like this. There were about 90% of the weather stations in the United States have some kind of sighting issue related to being in the proximity of heat sinks and heat sources.
And can I ask you to...
This biases the record.
Can I ask you to break down? Sighting issue means it's flawed.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Jonathan.
By sighting issue, you mean there's a flaw.
Say again, please.
A sighting issue is a little jargon. I just wanted to... You mean there's something wrong if there's a sighting issue?
Right. Imagine this. A sighting issue is... If you're measuring temperature with an official instrument and you're measuring it next to the side of a building let's say that building is made of red brick, and that red brick wall is facing southwest. It's going to absorb heat from the sun during the day, and it's going to release that heat at night. Anyone who stood next to a brick wall at night knows this. You can feel the heat radiating off of it. And so this biases the overnight temperature, and that's where this effect shows up. The overnight temperature gets biased high because these heat sinks are releasing their heat at night near the proximity of the weather stations, and it brings the minimum temperature up overnight. Since the average temperature is used as the measure of global warming, the average between the high and the low for the day, when the low goes up, so does the average temperature or the mean. And so that's the whole issue. And so we discovered this. It was a problem. Our initial study was inconclusive. Then we discovered why. We weren't including the amount of surface area these heat sinks involve. We found a new paper from a fellow by the name of Michael Leroy, who wrote a paper in 2010, who gave us some new tools. We used those tools on the same data, and we discovered that indeed there was a bias. It was systemic. It was repeatable. We could prove it. We proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that about half of the trend of the last 30 years of temperature in the United States is artificial, based on either sighting or adjustments. And so we took a lot of criticism for publishing an initial draft paper in 2012 to get feedback. We took that feedback and we reworked the paper, and now we're about to publish the final product. And I just gave a presentation on it here. Our findings are unchanged, but essentially it's this. The climate change signal that is being sought after in the United States is about half of it is artificial due to these biases and due to the mathematical adjustments that are going in to try to correct these biases, but are not doing it properly. The true climate signal is on the order of about 0.18 degrees centigrade per decade, whereas what NOAA is telling us is something on the order of about 0.32. So that's a big difference, and it's significant because it means that if, in fact, the last 30-year trend is lower, that means climate sensitivity to carbon dioxide is lower, and thus it generally puts a pretty big question mark over the whole issue.
Well, and one thing I wonder if you can hear me, that's intrigued me is the role of urban sprawl around airports, because that indicates to me something that would account for a change over time of the heat readings. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what was it about airports? The change around airports? What?
That there's urban sprawl is expanding from what used to be airports way out in the countryside to now being urbanized environments.
Exactly. There's encroachment around the stations. You can see this in just about any town over the last 30 years, whether it's big or small. A place that was once considered essentially rural is now full of shopping malls and houses and freeways and so forth. And so there's this gradual encroachment, this creep of humanity around these airports and other things. And it provides more heat sink and more bias. And it's a long period signal. It's not easy to detect. And NOAA's methodology of trying to detect it, I believe, is flawed, and they don't see this. I think it's a confirmation bias on their part.
All right, so that would account for what appears to be an increasing temperature that is not real.
Right, a portion of it. Let me be clear that due to natural variations and a small percentage of CO2, I do believe that, yes, it has gotten warmer over the last century. I have no dispute about that. But the magnitude of the warming is what I'm disputing. I'm disputing that the magnitude of the warming is exaggerated, and it's exaggerated because the temperature signal is polluted and not properly dealt with.
Do you think that's significant? They talk about the runaway, a point where it reaches a runaway point. Is that significant for that reason?
Yeah, the runaway tipping point, as they call it, is a fear related to the planet Venus because it has so much carbon dioxide. That's where that whole thing gets started. People fear that if you get too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that the Earth will reach a tipping point and then it will become runaway hot like Venus. That's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because, number one, Earth has experienced higher levels of carbon dioxide in its atmosphere in the past we have proof of this through paleoclimatological records, core samples, things of this nature. We know this to be true. The Earth did not go into a runaway greenhouse effect during those times. That's number one. Number two, most people got the wrong idea about what the greenhouse effect on temperature is. They think of it as a linear relationship, like an arrow that goes diagonally, upwards, straight, linear. But it's not that at all. It's a logarithmic effect. And I can't, this being radio, I can't show a graph, but I can try to describe it. It's a sharply shooting curve in the first 100 parts to 200 parts per million, and then it levels off and rounds off and becomes almost a flat top plateau later, after 400 parts per million. We're in that flat top plateau area, and so adding additional CO2 to the atmosphere, yes, it'll add some small amount of warming, but it won't go into runaway mode because we're in that flat top there of sensitivity. A way to think of it is like salting soup. You order soup at a restaurant, and you taste the soup, and you think, gee, it's kind of bland, it needs some salt. So you add some salt to it. You taste it again. And you think, it needs a little more salt. You add some more salt, taste it again, and all of a sudden, it's too salty. Now, no matter how much more salt you add to the soup, it's still going to be too salty, and that's because your taste buds' response to the salt in the soup is saturated. They're not going to detect any more salt, and it's kind of like that in the atmosphere. We're close to the saturation point in the response of temperature in the atmosphere, and so runaway greenhouse effect is not going to happen.
Well, I know you couldn't stay long, and I don't know if you have to go right now. I'd love to have you back on if you can. I don't know if you have time maybe to talk about this new network of...
Yeah, I have something I have to deal with at the moment here.
We hope to get you back in the future then. Your website is What's Up With That, which I think is lovely. People should look at whatsupwiththat.com. And thank you so much for stealing away some time from this important conference.
All right, we are going to take a break. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Jonathan Mosley and Rick Trader, coming to you from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia. The way we do, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern, and around the world on the internet via CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, VigilantLibertyRadio.us, and don't forget you can hear our show anytime, day or night, from any telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Please don't go away. John and I will be right back. They say I'm nasty, but
oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
You can the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon, please log on to vigilantlibertyradio.us. And, in about 12 minutes, when we leave you with our live program, if you'd like to hear a repeat broadcast of yesterday's show, please log on to cprworldwidemedia.com, CPR Worldwide